Hello, I'm Edith Bowman.
And I'm Michelle Collins.
And welcome to On the Box, the podcast where we celebrate the latest releases and much loved shows on BritBox. And let's face it, well beyond that.
Well beyond. This week, I was just thinking of a pun, like we have a store here, Bed Bath & Beyond. It's almost BBC. It's BBB, but this is British Broadcasting and Beyond. And this week, we are thrilled to be joined by an actor. I've seen him live. I cannot wait to talk to him. His name is Daniel Mays. He's brilliant. You know him, Edith. I mean, he's huge in England, right?
He is. He is one of those wonderful character actors that is just... You can just feel the energy of his performances. I'm very jealous that you've seen him live, which we'll talk about in a bit. But I think he's definitely one of the hardest working actors. And I feel like that he's kind of played a bit of everything in his career. But we'll know him from things like Lynley that we talked about recently as DCI Brian Nies. He was great in that, actually. And I just hope he's a bit nicer in season 2. 1,000 Blows, Line of Duty, Magpie Murders, Bookish, which I loved. Just so much.
I just love the name of English shows. You're like, he's been in everything. Magpie Murders, Miss Winley and her tiny tuffet of despair. You know,
a little China tea set was murdered.
Yes. People are always getting murdered over tea. What is going on in England? No, we're thrilled. And I saw him in my favorite musical. You know, I have 2 favorite musicals. If we're going to go comedy and drama, I love Les Miserables. I don't think it gets better than Les Mis when it just comes to, and there's some comedy there too, but you know, there's a reason the South Park creators are obsessed with Les Mis because it really does have everything. But I also love Guys and Dolls, and Guys and Dolls was the musical that really started my love for musicals. I was 10 years old visiting cousins with my mom. I had no interest in talking to anybody. And I think it was my cousin being like, let's just put this movie on for her. And of all movies, they put on Marlon Brando and Frank Sinatra in Guys and Dolls. And I mean, it's one of the best movies ever. But then the music in it, and he was phenomenal. He was Nathan Detroit.
Yeah.
And I almost said Nathan Lane, who played Nathan Detroit
Lane,
in the Broadway
I always nearly say that. Yeah.
But it's just fantastic, Edith. I'm sorry you missed it, honestly.
Yeah, I'm really gutted I missed that. I do love a musical. My mum and dad got me into that. My first ever trip to London, actually, I was 8. And we went to see Singing in the Rain with Tommy Steele at the Palladium. And he, you know, that was proper rain. It was raining on stage. And my eyes were like saucers. It was just kind of, what is this? It's amazing. And I remember my mum, we waited at the stage door to get our programme signed. And he was so kind and gracious and took time to just, you know, sort of sign everybody's things as well, which is amazing. So that started my journey. Then I saw Cats. Calamity Jane, I think, is one of my favourite musical films.
Wow, never seen it.
Have you not? With Shirley MacLaine. Oh, check your
check
your hat, sir. Check your coat, sir. Oh, so good.
Well, we love some Shirley MacLaine, but I'll say that you Singing in the Rain just now made me realize that I bet there's an entire generation of people who were introduced to musicals via Tom Holland on Lip Sync Battle, which I'm sure,
yes!
Tell me you've seen this clip. Yes.
Oh my God, yeah. Rihanna Umbrella into Singing in the Rain.
If ever there was a star-making moment, if ever someone has proven their worth in this business, in my opinion, it is Tom Holland in that performance, because the athleticism, the comedy, the everything about it. I watch it probably twice a year, and every time it's like the first time I've ever seen it. He is so good in it. I'm gonna say something else. He's hot in it. And like, you know, I love tally smally couples, which is what I call when a woman is bigger than the man. My own mother and father are tally smally. My mom is 5'10", my dad is 5'7.5" on a good day. And when I see Zendaya and Tom Holland out and about, I love it. I love a short king who worships his taller woman. I think it's one of the most beautiful relationships.
Who's your dream smallie to your tolly then?
Well, I've always had a thing for Stanley Tucci, but I liked Stanley Tucci before everyone liked him. This is what bothers me about Stanley. I feel like I liked him back when he was a weaselly brat I think he was in The Day Trippers with Hope Davis, and he's been in so many independent movies before he really broke through. I'm trying to think.
Big Night, his own film as well, which was great.
Great movie, yes. So, and I also love a bald. So I love it. A short bald king to me. It doesn't get hotter than that. So I do love a bit of Stanley. And he loves a tall woman. His wife, Emily Blunt's sister, I think Felicity
Felicity.
Blunt. Yeah.
Mm.
She's, I think, 5'10", 5'11". Mm-hmm.
Michelle, I wish I'd known this prior to Friday. I
No.
was just with Tucci on Friday. I was having Tucci time on Friday night. Not like him and I in a sort of.
The way you just said that, it's the first time you've ever said anything to me here on the show where I felt like you were holding something over me. It's we've always had, you said, well, it's a shame you didn't tell me last week. I was just with Stanley Tucci. Wait, where were you with him? Tell me everything.
So I was, he's got a new series of his kind of travel cooking show, Tucci in
Sure.
Italy. And so it was the launch of that. Can I show you a picture, which is a bit like our wedding
Please.
picture? Because he did this weird thing where he sort of held my arm.
Let me
Um,
see.
so
Oh
there's
my.
Tucci and
Wait, by
I.
the way, he's shorter than I thought. How tall are you? He's like, you and him
Yeah,
are almost the same height in that
he's
picture.
ickle. He's ickle. He's not just like short. He's tiny, tiny little svelte man. But you. I mean, you must have met him. He's so
I have. Yeah.
cheeky and fun, and just got a great timing, great sense of humor. And yeah, the show is great. I mean, it's him touring around Italy, talking Italian, having great times, eating loads of lovely food, but also kind of discovering some really interesting stuff that as a viewer, you're like, oh, wow, I had no idea. I didn't know that.
I have interviewed him, but I'll say that I've watched that show and I know that he knows exactly what he's doing when he rolls his shirt sleeves up, forearms out, and starts
Hmm.
grinding pasta and chopping the shallots or whatever it is that he's adding in there. He knows what he's doing and it's very effective. I mean, there's a reason it's coming back for another season. Travel shows are not doing well except for Stanley Tucci's travel show. Because then I wonder why. Yeah, I love that he's a sex symbol now. I think it's like it makes me happy for him, and it's just
The one thing that I find uncomfortable for him watching the show is just having the camera on him the entire time when he's eating, and particularly spaghetti. It's not like a it's
yeah, it's not
it's not like a
sexy.
sexy dish to eat, and kind of especially when you've got like kind of buffalo mozzarella juice slapping across your face as you're slurping it
Okay,
up, sort of thing. It's quite
so
funny, or maybe it
sensual the
is.
way you just said that. Excuse me, what kind of podcast is this?
Maybe it is.
Buffalo mozzarella juice slapping against. I would never think to say it that way, but wow, you're absolutely right. You just took me somewhere I didn't expect to go, and thank you. Wow. No, you're right. Spaghetti's one of those things. I'll tell you a funny thing. I'm in LA and I had brunch with a friend of mine who is a brilliant podcaster and comedian named Mamrie Hart. If you don't know Mamrie, go follow her. You would
Hmm.
love her, Edith. And we ordered something at this restaurant called Breakfast Spaghetti. This was yesterday.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and I thought, and when I woke up this morning, I never imagined myself saying breakfast spaghetti, thinking, and they said to us, we sat at the bar and the bartender said, just letting you know, it's a 40-minute wait to get the food. Like the kitchen's backed up. And we were like, okay, we were there to catch up anyway. So we were like, yeah, that's
Mm.
fine. Tell me, I think I have a theory that either the chef quit that morning or the chef was sick. Something happened because 45 to an hour later, we got a bowl of pasta with water and an egg on it. And I was like, nah, I know this isn't the
Oh,
breakfast spaghetti that I've been waiting an hour for. This just can't be it. Tucci would have been furious. It was not the
livid.
kind of spaghetti. Livid Tyler. Yeah.
How's LA?
It's good. It's nice. Beautiful weather. I'm staying in a lovely apartment. I wake up at 5:30 a.m. with the birds. We love that for me. And yeah, no, but it's nice. It's nice. I had a show as part of the Netflix as a joke fest, so that was really exciting. And all of my dearest friends live here, so it's been really fun.
Nice to
Do you
catch up
like
with
it here?
everybody.
Yeah, English
Yeah, I
people
love
love
LA.
LA. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I weirdly the first couple of times I went, I wasn't really. I was like, God, I don't know what the fuss is about. But then the more I went, I kind of like, if you find those kind of little pockets of neighborhood and where people live. I remember staying with a friend up off. He had this like little almost like a tree house up Laurel Canyon. And
Mm.
he went to meet his girlfriend for lunch, and I was just like, he's like, "You gonna be okay?" I was like, yeah, fine, I'm just getting myself sorted. Anyway, he must have got back and I wasn't there, and he's like, "Where are you? Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I just went for a walk." He's like, "What do you mean you went for a walk down Laurel Canyon?" He's like, nobody walks one, and it's like, why are you walking down Laurel Canyon? You'll be
Yeah.
dead in like 20 minutes. And so that was kind of like, oh, okay. But I,
So
yeah, no,
because
I've
for those who don't know, the cars come whipping down Laurel. It's not that you're going to get kidnapped down Laurel Canyon. It's that
it's so
the
windy and you can't, yeah.
vehicles, yes, and they're going 70 miles an hour down this windy like street, and they're not certainly looking for pedestrians down Laurel Canyon. It's like a highway, basically. Yeah.
Well, I remember seeing a little kind of like hard grocer shop on the way up there, and I was like, oh, I'll just go down there and get some food, sort of thing. So I just wandered down there, but he was like, "Don't move, I'm coming to get you."
Sweet.
Yeah, very sweet. But no, I do like it. I've got friends who are out in by what's the big where the observatory, Griffiths
Oh,
Observatory,
Los
they're
Feliz, and yeah, it's
yeah,
very pretty
yeah,
there.
out that way as well. I've done a couple of homages when I've been there as well. I loved La La Land, so I did the whole kind of like up the Griffiths Observatory where they did that big song and dance number and that kind of thing. I'm a sicko like that when I go places where things are filmed, where I'll kind of go, "Oh my God, this is where Adam Sandler pissed against the restaurant and Big Daddy," and have my picture taken there and stuff. Do you know what I
It's
mean?
the
It's
first
like,
time those words have ever been uttered. That is genuinely first for everything you just heard.
I think we should move on and welcome our guest, if that's all right. Very excited to welcome to On the Box today a man who, well, if it would take me the entire restoration of the podcast to list his IMDb credentials. There's over 110 of them. But most recently, you might have seen him in Lynley as Detective Chief Inspector Brian Nies. Please welcome to On the Box, Daniel Mays.
Well, I know that Edith and I are thrilled. We're so excited to have our guest on today. I have a million questions for him. I've seen him live. He's going to be very excited about it. He is the star
Oh,
of get excited. Get excited.
Oh,
Just on Tottenham Court Road, not even on stage. He is one of the stars of Lynley, which is a fantastic show. He plays Detective Chief Inspector Brian Nies, and he's fantastic on it. I know Edith and I are thrilled to welcome Daniel Mays to the show. Hi, Daniel.
hi guys. Lovely to see you both. How you doing?
it's so nice to see you. I always get really excited when I see your name attached to projects, and that's been something that's been so joyful to kind of celebrate over the years. And it's great to have you on this show to just take a moment to kind of look at the variety of things that you've been involved in. But I know that Michelle really wants to get in straight away on the musical side of things because she
Yeah.
saw you in Guys and Dolls. I couldn't get a
Yes.
ticket for love nor money. I was gutted. Me and my mum were so desperate to come and see that show, and it was just, I
Edith.
heard so many great things about it.
You should have. You
Well,
should have. Somebody should have called someone, Edith. I would have sorted you out a couple of tickets.
My
If you
people
knew,
call your people.
if you knew what I had to do to get those tickets, I wouldn't have this job. I'll tell you what, I would not have this job. A lot happened. But yeah, I mean, Edith really set me up in a perfect way. There's not much more for me to say. Guys and Dolls is the musical that made me love musicals. It was the first musical movie I'd ever seen. I saw it at 10. And when I heard about the immersive experience, I spent a lot of time in London. I was like, oh, I have to go. I couldn't wipe the smile off my face, and I'm very hard to please, okay? My face physically hurt me, and you were so phenomenal in that role. And that's all I really want to talk about. First a question, how do you get the energy to do something like that? Because you were so full of life and your singing is incredible. And I'm thinking you're doing this every day.
Yeah, the great thing about doing a musical. I mean, look, I went to stage school when I was a kid, so it's not like I'd never attempted a musical before. I just hadn't done it for like 25 years. But the great thing about doing that show is that it reawakened my love for that genre. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm.
the great thing about a musical, and particularly with that production of Guys and Dolls, is that it sort of takes care of itself when you're on stage. Like it fuels you, it gives you energy.
Mhm.
It's such a life-affirming audience pleaser. And it was such a look, I think Guys and Dolls at the Bridge Theatre was the biggest bona fide hit I've ever been in. It was
Wow.
like people would go, you'd go up to the bar upstairs afterwards, and like people were just losing it. They were saying it's the best thing I've ever seen. I've come like 5 times, and I was like, whoa, that's a lot of times. Um, But that sort of interaction with the audience just sort of it lent itself to just having the great time on stage every night. What was difficult was the journey in and out 8 times a week. That's when it gets very laborious and
Wow.
challenging. But once you're on stage and that overture kicks in, and I put on that little
Hmm.
trilby hat,
Oh.
and then the old and I'm there, baby. You know what I mean? It's sort of, it was great. My newfound respect for musical theatre performers has gone through the roof. Like I've got a lot of respect and time for them. They work so hard. Yeah.
I have a follow-up question about it. Just one more, which is that because it was such an interactive show. Well, no, because for those who don't know, I was standing in it. People were basically standing around the stage, and then we were ushered around by guards who were dressed like old-timey police officers who were like,
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
way, move. Like they were quite, but were people actually getting involved from the audience and like shouting things back? Or were, because English people are fairly well behaved, I think, versus Americans. How was that energy going?
I think I mean, I did nearly 300 performances. I did
Whoa.
nearly a year in it. I actually had a break in the middle when I went to go and do a TV show, Moonflower Murders. So I didn't really put my feet up, but they did tweak the choreography even more, where they did invite audience members up and they walked over the stage. I mean, there's a great moment when Marisha Wallace is singing at the halftime show. They're in the club and she got
Mhm.
very friendly with the audience members, didn't she? So whenever
Oh,
we
I saw
could,
like sitting on laps.
sitting on laps, all that sort of stuff. But the interactive thing came for obviously what you experienced. Like you were standing, and as the stage moved, the ushers moved you round. They were all dressed up as like New York cops and things like that.
Mm.
So, and what was great was lots of people who came and saw it sitting in the seats said, I want to come back and do the standing immersive experience. Hence why so many people came like again and again. And the stars that were there, my God, it was a rota of A-listers.
Come
It
on,
was
give us some names.
Shall I name drop you some names?
Come on.
Please.
Ray Fiennes was there, Ian McKellen, Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones. It was just like, it was like the best drug you could ever take. It was just
Oh.
intoxicating.
Here's a question then for you. When you've kind of gone through that show and the energy that you've had to kind of to find to do your, your sixth or eighth show of the week, and you get the call going, Michael Douglas and Catherine Zeta-Jones are at stage door, want to come and say hi. How are your energy levels post show when you get that kind of knock on the dressing room door and you've got an A-lister waiting to come in and say, Danny, you were brilliant.
Well, I'd worked with Michael on this production of Franklin for Apple TV. And and I met Nick Heitner on the Zoom, and he'd sort of offered the part. And then I was on the set like a couple of days later because I was in Paris. And Noah Jupe, this brilliant young actor, said, "What are
Oh,
you
he's
doing?"
brilliant, Noah.
Fantastic actor, brilliant, like the most natural actor you could ever meet. He's
Mm.
sensational. And then like Noah said, "What are you doing next, Daddy?" And I was like, "Well, it's a bit left field. I've been offered a musical." And then like Michael was like, "What the hell? What musical is it?" I said, "Guys and Dolls." He went, "What part?" I went, "Nathan Detroit." He said, "Are you doing it?" And I said, "I haven't decided yet, Michael." He went, "Danny, you're doing it and you're not taking no for an answer." And that was it. So I had to do it then. And so I had to then invite, I said, "If I'm going to do it, Michael, you've got to come and bring Catherine." And to their credit, they did. And they were so
That's
sweet.
amazing.
They had photos of all the cast. It was great.
I
That's an
want to say one
amazing
last thing
story.
about it and then we move on. But I just need you to know.
Yeah.
I need someone who was in it to know that when I auditioned for musical theater high school, I sang Sit Down, You're Rockin' the Boat. And my dad said to me, because I love to sing, my dad said, you have to dance. You can't just sing. And he said, why don't you pretend like you're shaking dice while you're singing the song? And I went, it's a great idea. And I stood there for doing this, shaking the dice. I'll let the audience imagine what I was doing as a 16-year-old, 15-year-old, just shaking that dice as my life depended on it. And then the worst part was I didn't get in. Take it away. Okay, I'm done. That's it.
Oh,
I just had to get that story out of my system. I
Oh,
thought I
babe.
crushed it. I thought I crushed it.
Michelle,
Okay.
you were so
I know.
great, but the thing with the dice, I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened there.
I think I was too good was the problem. They felt uncomfortable. But yes, anyway, the end. Okay, that's my last story. Edith, go for it.
Oh man, that's
That
such
is
a great
hilarious.
story.
Thank
But
you.
it's Danny, listen, joking apart, it's the range of things that you continue to do in your career and the choices that you make is extraordinary. You know, we're talking about Guys and Dolls and how kind of joyful that experience is for the audience and stuff. And most recently, I think, Believe Me, that is the most kind of recent and current thing, which is obviously based on this true story about this horrendous character and the responsibility of taking on something like that. But then from your side of it, the opportunity to work on an amazing script by Jeff Pope, you know, Philomena and so many other brilliant things. Are those the things that are making you say yes to things, the opportunity to try different, maybe trickier things to play, but the opportunity because the writing's so good or the director's so good?
Yeah, I mean, Believe Me was a golden opportunity to work with Jeff Pope again. We'd done the big thing we did together was Mrs. Biggs with Sheridan Smith years ago, the Ronnie Biggs story. Had an amazing time on that. I had a smallish part on Suspect, Jeff's show for Disney, but then he called me and said, "Look, Danny, I'm going to offer you something, but I need to tell you about it first before it goes to your agent because of the very nature of what he was offering me." But you know, if it's a script from Jeff, you know it's going to be full of integrity and like supremely good writing. But I did have to, you know, it did. Edith, you're absolutely right. It felt like something. I've never actually played anything as dark as this before. I mean, I've played sort of nefarious wrong-uns in the past, but with all those types of things, you try and find a redeeming quality, don't you? You just sort of weigh into it to humanize it. But it was very difficult with John Moore Boys. I mean, I have to be honest, it was probably the toughest nut to crack because it was unspeakable what he did. It's unfathomable what he represents. But I couldn't judge that. I just had to commit to it. But it was I underestimated how difficult it was to play.
If anybody is confused by Daniel in this, then all they need to do is to go on YouTube and search for Daniel Mays and Stephen Graham Can't Hold It Together in Code 404. It is maybe the most joyful 12 minutes people will ever spend. And if you're having a bad day, I encourage you to go and look at this bloopers of the two of you on this. You have the ability to make people laugh on set, Danny, like no one else. It's the best thing to watch ever.
Yeah, it was. We were so blessed that we did 3 seasons of Code 404, and like Steve's a dear friend of mine, so I actually he's actually won his BAFTA, didn't he, yesterday?
Another one.
Like, well, I think he said last night, didn't he? This is his 8th nomination, and he finally won. So
Right
I sent him a great text, and so we had a little bit of an exchange today. So I was made up for him because he so deserves it. But what was great about Code 404 is that, yeah, we often do a lot of serious parts, don't we, Stephen and I? So it was just a great departure. And I have to say, Stephen is a big corpser, particularly on the Code 404 set. So we loved it, and we got 3 seasons out of it. And yeah, it was just joyous to work with him like that. It was great fun.
Makes me laugh just thinking about it, genuinely. Like, oh, it's so funny.
I also know that you had the honor, let's say, of being in Star Wars. Now, I know I keep asking about fans, but you have to kind of bring up the fandom when you talk about Star Wars. You were in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Have you done the conventions? I'm fascinated by Star Wars fans and conventions because I don't think I've ever had a passion like that in my life, and that makes me sad for myself.
Michelle, I've literally done 2 conventions in my life.
Go on.
The big one was London Comic Con. That was like the proper, you know, like, and then I did one in Leicester at the Space Centre. The thing about a Comic Con is that you're there sat behind a table, right, and you've got various photographs of the roles that you've played, and the thing about it is, like, you just get the general public, and they sort of come up and they give you the once over, and they sort of go, "Oh, is that no, I'll leave it," and then they walk off. It's kind of like, it's not good for one's ego. Do you know what I mean? I felt like a bear in a cage. What can I say? And I was like, no, please, I'll give you a picture for free.
That is hilarious. Oh my God.
I'll sign it in gold. You know. No, no, it was great. I think those things are massive, aren't they? I mean, Star Wars was
Yeah,
just.
that's what I mean. Ugh.
I mean, I was. Um, I got asked out of the blue to do the reshoots on Rogue One. I was with Tony Gilroy was the director, so he
Oh,
was
wow.
doing all the sort of reshoots, and I just had this call out of the blue, and it was like.
Hmm.
Do you want to be? There's like this amazing scene in it's one scene, but it's lengthy. There's lots of exposition. Do you want to do it? Are you a Star Wars fan? I was like, yeah, of course. I was on like holiday with my family in Devon or something. I was in an NCP car park, and then they said, right, great, you can have a Zoom with Tony Gilroy, and I was like, great. So my wife and kids went off shopping or doing something, and then like I Zoomed Tony Gilroy in an NCP car park, and he was like, "Tell Danny, you can't say anything about this." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I know, Tony." Yeah, he went, "No, you can't say a thing. You can't tell anyone." And I was like, "Okay, I get it. Yeah, this is top
Wow.
secret." So I did it. It was an amazing day's filming. I was there with the stormtroopers. They were sitting there eating, drinking coffee and smoking cigarettes. And I was like, sort of the illusion was quickly shattered. Um,
It's like
but
Times Square
I,
Mickey
I
Mouse.
had I had an amazing day filming, but I didn't know whether or not I'd make the cut or
Mm,
whatever. So but you know what? I was really happy I was in Rogue One, because I have to say that is a real standout movie in those spin-offs, right?
Yeah.
I think
very
it's one of the
much.
best.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
it's dark, right? It's a dark tale.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah,
f
and then we
I
got Andor off the back of it as well, which is just kind of like amazing.
But here's the thing, Edith. I remember being on the set of Rogue One, and I obviously get blasted away, don't I? So I don't. And like Tony
Spoiler.
was like, "God, you really die really well." Spoiler alert.
Mm.
Yeah, everyone's watched it. He says you're really good at dying, and I said, Tony, I have died so many times on screen. I've been shot, I've been stabbed, I've been blown up, I've been poisoned. My personal favourite was dying down a lift shaft with Gemma Arterton in Byzantium. That was the creme de la creme. um,
You've really done it all, Daniel. My God, it's
and I went,
incredible,
yeah, but
genuinely.
yeah. Well, then Sony was like, "Yeah, but don't worry, we can bring you back. We could do a prequel." And then they made Andor, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm going to come back." But the last scene of season 2, the final season, is literally
Yeah.
Diego Luna walking off to meet my character Tivik, and then it ends.
So funny. Just so close. You almost made the cut.
Almost.
I
Oh,
missed the trick.
gotta
Almost.
hurt.
We could have a spin-off just of
Mm.
Rogue
The
Zero. We
the
gotta go back.
tales of Tivik.
There we go, the Tales of Tivik. I love it. Oh my God. I know you've just come back from Berlin as well, and you've been filming with one of my favorite people in the world, Mr. Jack Loudon, fellow Scot,
yeah.
absolute legend, the next James Bond in my eyes.
Ooh.
He would
Um,
be amazing, James
Wouldn't he
Bond.
be amazing?
I mean,
Wouldn't he be
I've
amazing?
had so many scenes with Jack, so to work with him up close and personal, I think he's an absolute star. He's honestly one of the best talented young actors I've worked with. He is a
So bad.
fantastic talent
Yeah.
from the top of his
So
head to
good,
the
isn't
tip. He's
he?
a brilliant guy and so down to earth, and I had a ball with him. Yeah,
What can you tell us about Berlin Noir?
I can't tell you anything.
No.
Oh,
Why?
I can tell you because they'll all turn up at the door and take me out if I say anything.
Oh, okay.
another way to die, Danny.
They'll parachute through the roof. All the people from Apple and Bad Wolf and say, "What are you doing?" I can tell you it's written by Peter Strawn, the guy that
Wow.
who wrote Conclave. He just won an Oscar for Conclave,
Ugh.
and Peter did Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Gary Oldman. When he was talking about that movie, I mean, what a cast there was in that.
Hmm.
So I can tell you they are without question one of the best series of scripts I've worked on. It is an amazing piece. It's based on the Bernie Gunther novels, and you can't go wrong with Peter Strawn. Amazing cast. You've got Jack. You've got Colin Firth, Jessica Gunning, Roger Allen, Maxine Peake. Just amazing cast
Wow.
list. So yeah, I've literally finished last week. So It was good. I was very emotional when we wrapped.
Oh.
I don't normally get like that. And they were so incredible, the German crew. And I
Mhm.
loved the city so much. It really got under my skin. And it just, oh, it's so embarrassing, isn't it? When everyone, when everyone congregates on the on the floor, and then you go, you know it's coming, and that's a picture wrap on Danny, and everyone just went wild, and I just got overwhelmed, and I was like,
Aw.
not cool, but
Yeah.
what can you
Oh,
do?
totally cool.
Yeah, no, it was a
Totally
great.
cool.
It's a wonderful part in a great show, and I have a lot of love for everyone involved in it. So I
Mm.
was I was sorry to say goodbye to it. Yeah.
You just said Colin Firth and like reawakened so many American women. Like it's like a
Mm.
sleeper cell activation. I'm like, Colin Firth? This is
Yeah.
crazy. Like, because we're thirsty for Firth. I don't know what it is about. What is it about Colin Firth that makes
Firth
Oh, he's a
specifically
dreambo.
he's so
Yeah.
dreamy. And is it because he's so the last thing I thought we'd be talking about, but I could do this for an hour. Is it because he's so kind of dorky?
Careful.
I mean, yeah, he's very like bashful, I guess is the word.
We were talking about I mean, I had a few days of him, and you're just sort of chewing his ear off about the King's Speech and
Oh
single
yeah.
man,
Yeah.
and like, what was interesting, because it's like Jax and Colin were having a bit of a Darcy off, aren't they? Because
Of course.
Oh my
Colin
God.
was there in his white shirt coming out of the drink, and Jack's just about to play Mr. Darcy for Netflix. I'm just
Oh
in the
my
background as the footman, like, can I get you anything?
It's very early. I'm in LA and I didn't think I'd get this excited at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, this is really great to
Yeah.
hear about. There should be a spinoff called Darcy Off. They should have like a sort of
Yeah.
like Graham Norton should host a
Oh,
reality show where they cast the next Darcy.
the
That would be
only
the
way is
biggest hit.
Darcy.
Oh
Yeah,
God, yes.
I'd be
Towed.
tuning in.
Talk about your co-stars though. We had lovely Leo on talking about
Oh yeah.
Lynley earlier on in our season. What a great show that is. Great show.
Yeah, I'm literally leaving tomorrow early to go and shoot the second season. So
You're
I've
kidding.
been I've been frantically learning my lines over the last few days, which is cool, because I had great time with Leo and Sophia. It's sort
Yeah.
of a huge thing, isn't it? It's just because, like, the original Lynley was such a hit. So they're sort of big shoes to fill, right? You kind of got to reimagine it and bring your own sort of, energy to it. And I think they're a great duo together. And I got this great offer to come in and play the DCI. I mean, I know it's another policeman, but
Mm.
he's a great character, Nies,
Yeah.
because from the off, what was great about it was, I mean, the writing was brilliant anyway, but there was this huge sort of backstory, this like page of writing that they'd given this history to the character, and
Oh wow.
so Nies and Lynley have got this sort of, they came up together in the Met, and there's no love lost between them. So
Mm.
I think Nies is like working class, and built himself up all the way, and he
Mm.
does think that Lindley's born with a silver spoon in his mouth. So you've got sort of class warfare in the police station. So that's something I really sort of tapped into, and couldn't have asked for a better actor than Leo to do the scenes with. I think he's absolutely terrific. Yeah, lovely
He
fella.
was so charming. He'd be a great Darcy, by the way. We had him
He
on.
would be he would
Wouldn't
be a
he?
great Darcy. He'd be a great Bond, right?
Oh
Yeah,
God, would he?
we actually talked about that with him, I think, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I'm sure the Lindley producers are really happy that I'm touting him out
Pitching
as
him.
Bond.
His rate just doubled. They're like, wait, what happened?
Yeah.
We loved Lynley, and Lynley is available on BritBox for people to watch. But you yourself just mentioned kind of the class warfare happening on this show. And it's interesting because as an American, I don't know if we're as obsessed with class as the English are. I don't know if maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but how would you kind of explain that to an American who's never been to England before? How would you pitch this particular show? And also, why are the English so obsessed with class? It's a fascinating thing to me.
Oh, you've
I mean,
unlocked.
it
I mean,
doesn't.
it's a tough question to answer. It's a heavy one, but like,
It is a heavy one, isn't it? Because
But like, I can't remember the
yeah,
last time someone asked me where I went to university or where my family was from. Those, I think it's a little bit more subtly done in England than here.
I mean, Edith, it's always been there, isn't it? The sort of
Yeah.
class divide.
And there's also that thing I think where it's like the idea, like you were saying, you just said there about Lynley being kind of silver spoon. It's like it's kind of like the nepo baby thing, really, isn't it? It's like there's the it's entitlement. It's kind of like you don't have to work for it. It's
Yeah.
where it's like working class. It's like there's more there's more to achieve because there's more work to do, sort of thing. And when they see people who are, in stature or in status or with money who are getting those opportunities over themselves, there's kind of there's jealousy there, but there's also kind of like, yeah, it creates so much brilliant drama and tension on screen, but it's part of real life as well.
I mean, the education thing's really key, isn't it? Like you said, I mean, I mean, I remember when I went to drama school, it was like, I went from stage school to drama school to RADA. And I remember when I first got there, God, everyone was like, had been to university. Everyone was so, I imagine in my head,
Mm,
they were so eloquent and well read. And I just sort of clammed up because I thought that's not who I am. And I
Yeah,
realized you kind of got to get that sort of chip off your shoulder and just get
for
on with
sure.
it, really. And it's all about getting into the space and just doing it. But there can be a lot of hierarchy and things like that in our country, and
mm,
it's always there or thereabouts. I mean, I think like maybe about 10 years ago, there was this whole thing in the acting world where I mean, there was a piece in the Guardian that was like, "Where's the next Gary Oldman going to come from?" Because
Yeah.
it appeared to be like it was the Eddie Redmaynes and the Tom Hiddlestons, and they seem to have been lauded all the time, and they are terrific
mm.
actors. Don't get me wrong; I think they're exceptional talents. But I think those sort of things go in trends, don't they? Really, and I think it'll just come round again.
Going up back to Stephen Graham as an example, in terms of like Stephen's kind of trajectory through working with Shane Meadows and the work that someone like Shane
Yeah,
Meadows, Michelle, who you probably know him, but all his work on, I think Shane kind of first came to prominence through an amazing sort of film and TV series called This Is England, and he was a champion of that whole kind of like theatre workshops, getting real kids off the street to kind of work and give them experience. And Vicky McClure, who you worked with in Line of Duty, Danny, came through all that as well. And
yeah.
an amazing collection of actors kind of came through Shane Meadows' kind of, I guess, school of acting, really, as well. And it's those things that I think are and opportunities that are given to kids who don't have the money to go to kind of this and that.
I think there are always like places you can go and like you mentioned, This Is England. So many of those actors came from the Nottingham workshop, didn't they? Which was, Sam Morton went there, Jack O'Connell, I think Bella Ramsey went there. So,
Yeah.
there's things like the National Youth Theatre in London. I think, there's always like people seem to be going on and on about the fact that, there's a disparity with it all, but it's down to these working class kids to really try and hunt those sort of lifebloods out and try and crack on with it, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
I want to ask about A Thousand Blows. Another brilliant show, Danny.
Yeah.
And am I right in thinking that Stephen's wife Hannah, who's a legend, Stephen Graham's wife
Yeah.
Hannah, came up with that idea and then was like, I think we should get Stephen Knight to write this. And then he
Yeah.
did. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the story goes that Hannah discovered the picture of Hezekiah Moscow, the black boxer who
Hmm.
became I think it's middleweight champion. But she just discovered this picture on its own, and she was like this striking man in gloves, from Victorian times, and it really sort of pricked her interest. And she's like, then she delved into the story, and then they took it to Water and Power, who in turn I think then went to Stephen Knight, and he loved it. I mean, can you imagine like you getting the green light on a project like that, and it's going to be written by him? It's just an unbelievable opportunity. I had a great time. I mean, and then Stephen and Hannah turned around and said to me, would you come and play Punch Lewis, the ringmaster, this vaudevillian, you know, Jack in the Box? And I said, I can't, Steve. I'm doing Guys and Dolls. I'm not available. And he went, don't worry about that. We'll shoot you out in the day, and then you can go and do your little musical in
Your
the
little
night.
dance.
Your little thing.
And I was like, do you know what you're asking me to do? That's it. And that's basically what we did. So I would shoot, they would
Wow.
shoot me out at 5:30, I think, or 5 o'clock, and they'd get me on one of those scooter bikes, taxi bikes
Taxi
through
bikes.
Oh
traffic.
no.
My
And I was
favourite
hanging on for
thing.
dear life. And then I'd get to the Bridge Theatre for warm up, and then I'd go on. And I mean, it was just, I
Wow.
did that for about 3 weeks. And it's
Wow.
very funny because
Jesus.
when I watched when I watched Thousand Blows Back, what was very funny to me, and not many people will pick up on it, was interesting to see that some of the little quirks that I put in for Nathan Detroit were in Punch Lewis. You know, like the flipping the hat and doing the pratfalls, and it was like the two performances were bleeding into each other, which was hilarious. But like Steve was just like, Danny, just get in the ring and give him the old razzle dazzle. Just do what you want. So I had a lot of fun with it, but it was a tough ask. Yeah.
Can I be honest? Listening to you talk about all these projects, I think you may be the busiest working actor we've had here on the box. It's like I'm hearing this and I'm going, is it possible he's done another show? I don't understand how one person can do this much. So I guess my question, Danny, is how do you relax? Do you go on vacation? Like, when is the off time for you? I know you have a family. Like, are you guys going somewhere this summer? And are they like, Daddy, we miss you? Does that trigger you at all? Or
Oh yeah, I do have kids, don't I? Yeah, I forgot about that. No, I'm definitely going to have a break. I'm going to go and shoot Lynley, and then I've got a bit of downtime. We're going to book a nice holiday.
okay, got excited.
Do you know what I'm really excited about? And you're probably, I don't know if you're part of it or not, but you were part of the film. One of the films is that they're making a Nanny McPhee musical.
Oh, are they
Emma-
really?
Emma Thompson is writing it with a guy called Gary Clark, Scottish
Right.
singer-songwriter. Do you remember the song Mary's Prayer?
I do remember that.
That was him.
And he's doing the
writing the
music.
music. Yeah, he's doing the music. So
Oh my
you could
God.
both be in it. You and
Yes.
Michelle.
I could
Edith.
rewrite I was Blenkinsop, wasn't I? The driver.
Yeah.
They
Those are great
built
films.
that. They built that set down in Surrey, and I literally had 2 scenes. And I used to go down there, and it was the most rainy summer ever, and it rained so much. Like, so they turned round on me like on day one, and it was lovely sunshine, and then it just started raining. Right, they used to drive me down to Surrey, and I'd get in my Blenkinsop outfit, and I'd sit there, be waiting to use, and reading a book, and it was carried on raining. I was on that for so long, I had to sign another contract. I loved it. You know what I mean? I was just like, you're out of contract, Daddy. You got to get another thing. It was great.
Yeah,
Keep
you're
the
reading
rain
books.
coming.
Yeah.
She was so adorable on that, Emma Thompson, as I remember. There's a moment where I'm pulling the young girl out the car, and then he flips over and he lands in the pond, right? So I remember, and I kept doing that. And every time I did it, because I do my own stunts, you know, she used to come up and pop a chocolate button in my mouth.
Oh, that's nice.
I was like this performing monk. I'm like, if I could have another chocolate button, please, Emma.
I think the quote of the show is, I do me own stunts, you know? Like, that's going to stay with me. That's going to be my vocal stim for the next week. Like, it's just going to be in my
I
head.
don't think I could do that backward roll now. Not an hour at 48, man.
Try it at the Almeida Theater. It's tiny, though. You might hurt yourself.
Yeah.
And Thursday Murder Club as well. We haven't even talked about that. That was fun.
I mean,
What a cast.
the cast was insane. I was just the first day was me eating the cake, and I had I mean, I keep saying this story because that's the only thing I could think of when I was sitting there, was that I had James Bond, Gandhi, the Queen, Acorn Antiques, and Whitney Houston. And I was like, oh my, and the imposter syndrome was like, what are you doing here, Danny? And then I looked over at the monitor, and there was Chris Columbus, no less. And thank God Steven Spielberg wasn't doing a set visit that day. But it was great. We had such a great time, and they were so lovely, all of them. Like, I mean, they're working with someone like Helen Mirren, I was like, this is just insane. Like, I've met, I've watched her all my life, and Piers and Bear. It was just amazing. And I hope, fingers crossed, we get to do more of them because
Yeah.
I think there's like 5 books. So we wait and see.
You mentioned about those kind of names and stuff though, Danny, but whether it's you on screen with Emma Thompson or Sir Ben Kingsley or coming up Jack Lowden and stuff, or Stephen Graham and stuff, you're so brilliant in the roles that you play and so memorable. You make such an impression and stuff as well. So I think that you more than deserve to be there because you entertain us so much. So yeah.
Oh, bless you. That's so sweet,
yeah,
Edith. I've got to give
totally.
myself a pat on the back every now and again, don't I?
Yeah, totally. Damn right.
This is better than therapy.
So, Daniel, we've talked about all your many, many shows and just, again, hardest working actor I think we've ever met. But you were in an incredible film called Against the Law, which it depicted a gay love affair in London during a time when homosexuality was criminalized.
It was an amazing experience. It was one of those parts that I played Peter Wildblood. He was a sort of Daily Mail journalist in the 50s and gay when it was obviously against the law. He served, I think, 18 months in prison, but was one of the first people to testify on what was called the Wolfenden Committee, which was sort of groundbreaking for gay rights. But this offer came out of the blue, and I was like, wow. And there was lots of, intimate scenes. And it was like, I have to say, initially I was like, I can't do that. Like, it's not, it was like this huge mountain to climb. But, in hindsight, whenever you get a kind of challenge like that, they're the parts that you have to take on. Yeah. And if you can scale the mountain and Against the Law was an amazing piece. They're the ones that you hold on to and you look back on and you were mightily glad that you took that on, I mean, I was blessed that I had an amazing director in Fergus O'Brien, but my lover in it was the brilliant Richard Gadd, who's obviously...
Can you imagine?
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Pre-Baby Reindeer.
The first time I met Richard at the rehearsals, he says, I come from I was lovely to meet you. He said, I come from a stand-up comedian background. I said, you'd have to be to get in bed with me, Richard.
That is hilarious.
But I mean, I have snogged that man's face off more than my own wife. We opened the BFI Flair Festival on the South Bank, and my wife watched it for the first time, and she got like 20 minutes into it, and she was like, oh my God, put him down for God's sake. And Simon, my publicist, was like, are you all right with this? Yeah, it was a wonderful piece and a really important piece. And yes, I have a connection to Richard Gadd like no other.
God, your blessings, though. I remember watching Baby Reindeer being like, no, because no one here knew, we didn't know who he was, obviously. That was like his big breakout role here in the U.S. And I mean, you could do worse, Danny. I mean, he's not bad.
I am so thrilled for Richard.
Yeah.
With the success of Baby Reindeer, and because Richard actually was on Code 404 as well, and we were actually doing a night shoot, and there was the 3 of us, me, Stephen, and Richard, and then he was, because Netflix were on board and they were developing it, and I think he said at one point, I'm not sure if I can play the role, like, and I understand that now in hindsight, having watched it, because it was so close to home, and he was like, we're thinking about casting someone else. And I was like, and both Stephen and I were like, Richard, this is your story. This is like, this is you. And it's like, you have to own that. It would be, I can't imagine anyone else doing it. And when I sat down and watched it, I knew he was a brilliant actor, Richard, but my God, he just was extraordinary in that. And so brave, so courageous, obviously with the themes that run through it. And now he's gone on. I haven't had time to watch funny that, surprise. I haven't watched Half Man yet, but I can't wait to watch it. And he's one of the, soundest and nicest guys you could ever work with, Richard. So all power to him. And he's just an amazing talent. Anyone that can, I'm always in awe of writers, you know, who have the ability to sit down and conjure something out of the thin air, you know. I don't really have that,
Yeah.
but all power to Richard and the people that can.
And I think as well with Half Man as well, similarly, he's got the kind of balls to go there and write about things that nobody else is really writing about or addressing. And I think that it's, you know, it's not an easy watch, it's an incredible watch, but that's sometimes what you need, and what's kind of, you know, even going back to Believe Me, Danny, do you know what I mean? In terms of those stories
Yeah.
that need to be told.
You have to, I mean, you know, we're in the entertainment industry, aren't we? You know, we're here to entertain, but, you know, you get something like Half Man or Adolescence with Stephen and now Believe
Yeah.
Me, you know, sometimes, you know, drama can go beyond that and teach us about the world and, you know, hold people to account and ask the difficult questions. And I think, you know, there's always been a place for that, and long may that continue. Because, you know, we're enlightened when we watch it. You know, we're emotionally engaged, we're sort of horrified, but it's utterly compelling at the same time, and it draws you in and you want to know more. I mean, who knew that those poor women in Believe Me were let down so badly by the Met Police
Yeah.
and the judicial system? You know, it's sort of anger inducing, but that is the reason why the drama should be made in the first place.
We're going to end on a light note, if that's all right. A
Yeah.
nice, we could call it a game. It's really not. Revival. Ask our guests to revive one of their favourite British shows. What would it be? One-off mini-series, Christmas special. Got anything you'd love to revive, Danny?
I'm gonna be a bit I'm gonna be a bit selfish here, right? I mean, I don't know
Right.
if anyone's done this before, but I am gonna pick one of my own shows. Is that
So
is
smart.
that allowed?
Great.
God, he's so egocentric, isn't he? I did a show ages ago called Ashes to Ashes. Do you remember that, Edith?
Yeah.
With the great Philip Glenister and John Sim was in Life on Mars. Then the follow-up was Ashes
Yeah.
to Ashes with Keely Hawes and Philip Glenister. But there was rumours flying around that the BBC were gonna bring it back, and it was entitled Lazarus. And then I bumped into Phil and John Sim recently at Christmas at this cancer charity event. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great? I mean, Gene Hunt, Sam Tyler, wouldn't it be great to sort of bring those characters back in this very sort of, in the world that we live in now? I just think it would be great. And I had an amazing part in it. I played the devil. I don't know if he'd, you know, I mean, I just had a great time playing that role. And I just thought, because people say if there's any one role that you'd like to do again, it would probably be Jim Keats in Ashes to Ashes. So that would be my shout. But
That's why you work so
Could
much.
happen.
Yeah, I love it.
hopefully the BBC execs are tuning into this podcast and,
They better be.
you know, something happens.
Well, Danielle, I have to say, when I saw that you were coming on the show, I had a list of Guys and Dolls questions, but I held it together. I just, and we want to just say thank you so very much for being here.
We should
Thanks,
go
Danny.
out on singing Sue Me with one another, Michelle, because you know you've got a great voice.
Danny,
Sue
do not
me,
start with
sue
me.
me.
What can you do
Can you
me?
do me?
I
I
love
love
you,
you.
Adelaide. Give a holler and hate me, hate
And
me.
hate me.
Go ahead.
Then
Hate
and
me.
hate me.
If you wind up in jail, don't come to me to bail you out.
Michelle, you know the words
already.
better than me.
Wait, I'm crying. This is like a dream. Am I dying of a terminal illness?
You've been listening to On the Box, hosted by Edith Bowman and Michelle Collins. The music was by Dario Forzato and Canio Claudio Tristano, courtesy of 411 Music. Research and additional material by Angela Channel. The mix engineer was Arlie Adlington. The production coordinator was Caroline Barlow. The production manager was Katie Borm. The production executive was Ian Hayden. The executive producers for BritBox are Alana McGahey and Diane Robina, and executive producer for BBC Studios is Pete Strauss. The producer was Rajiv Karia. On the Box is a BBC Studios production for BritBox.